My wife laughed. "You'd be nothing without me," when I suggested couples therapy. I replied, "Let's test that theory." Then I started the business she'd mocked for years. When Forbes featured me 18 months later, her interview request went straight to my spam. I, 38 male, spent 12 years married to someone who made me feel like I was lucky she even looked in my direction. Looking back now with clear eyes, I can see how gradual the erosion of my self-worth was. How each small comment, each dismissive laugh, each eye roll chipped away at my confidence until I genuinely believed I was the lesser half of our partnership. My wife came from money. Not obscene generational wealth, but comfortable upper-middle-class parents who paid for her MBA at a top 20 program and helped us with the $60,000 down payment on our house. She worked in corporate marketing for a Fortune 500 company, pulled in around $140 annually, and never, not once in 12 years, let me forget that her salary was what kept us comfortable. I was making about $85 as an IT project manager at a mid-sized tech company. Not poverty wages by any stretch, but in her eyes, practically charity work. Every major purchase we made somehow circled back to my salary making this possible. Every vacation was framed as her treating us. Every financial discussion included subtle reminders of who the real breadwinner was. For years, I'd talked about starting my own software consulting business. I'd built a solid reputation in my field over 15 years. I had genuine expertise in enterprise systems integration. I had connections across multiple industries. I had ideas that clients had actually told me were valuable. Every single time I mentioned the possibility of going independent, she'd get this look, this particular mixture of pity and amusement that I can still picture perfectly. "Babe, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a worker bee. Nothing wrong with that. But let's be realistic about who you are." That was her favorite phrase throughout our entire marriage. Let's be realistic. Translation: let's remember that you're not capable of more than you already have. The marriage had been dying for years before I admitted it to myself. We hadn't been intimate in over 14 months. Our conversations were purely transactional. Who's picking up groceries? When's the car getting serviced? Did you pay the electric bill? She'd started taking girls' trips that seemed to involve a suspicious amount of secrecy and vague answers. I didn't have concrete proof of anything, but the emotional distance between us had become canyon-wide. 3 months ago, after another completely silent dinner where we both stared at our phones, I finally suggested couples therapy. I genuinely wanted to try. Despite everything, despite the years of feeling inadequate, I'd invested 12 years in this woman. I believed in commitment. I believed people could change. She laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Not a surprised laugh or an uncomfortable laugh, a genuine, deeply amused laugh. Therapy? For what exactly? So you can complain to some stranger that I don't validate your little dreams enough? Our marriage is falling apart. I thought maybe we could work on... Our marriage is fine. You're the one who's unhappy because you're stuck in a job you clearly hate and you're too scared to do anything about it. That's not a marriage problem. That's a you problem. Don't project your midlife crisis onto us. Maybe I should do something about it then. Actually start the consulting business I've been talking about. She laughed again. Harder this time. With what money? What clients? You'd crash and burn in 6 months, and then where would we be? I'd be supporting both of us entirely while you found yourself. No thank you. Something in me shifted at that moment. Like a switch flipping after years of being stuck in the off position. Like finally seeing clearly after a decade of fog. You really think I'd be nothing without you? I think you'd struggle significantly, yes. I'm not trying to be deliberately cruel here, but someone in this relationship needs to be realistic. Let's test that theory. She rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh, here we go again. Another dramatic declaration that leads absolutely nowhere, just like every other time. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself, didn't explain, just nodded slowly and started planning in my head. The next morning, I contacted a divorce attorney before I even went to work. Not to file immediately, I needed to understand my options and protect whatever I could. My state follows equitable distribution, meaning assets get divided fairly, but not necessarily 50-50. Since she'd contributed more financially during the marriage, and the house down payment came entirely from her parents, I knew walking in that I'd likely take a significant hit. The attorney confirmed my suspicions. Best case scenario, given the circumstances and relative contributions, I'd walk away with maybe 35 to 40% of our shared assets. The house would probably need to be sold unless one of us could afford to buy the other out. My retirement accounts, what I'd built both before and during the marriage, would be partially split according to state formulas. I was genuinely okay with that. Freedom from constant belittlement has a price, and I was willing to pay it. Over the next 2 months, I laid the groundwork quietly and methodically. Reached out to former colleagues and past clients who'd appreciated my work. Built a comprehensive business plan with realistic projections. Set up an LLC with proper legal structure. Opened a separate business account funded with my own savings. Money that was legally mine from before we got married and had never been commingled. She didn't notice any of my preparations. She was too busy with her book club that conveniently met every Thursday night and her work conferences that somehow required overnight stays with suspicious frequency. When I finally served her with divorce papers on a Tuesday evening, she was genuinely, completely shocked. Like it had genuinely never occurred to her that I might actually leave. "You're serious? You're actually doing this to us?" "I'm doing this. Over what? Because I laughed at your little business idea. Over 12 years of being told I'm not good enough. The business comment was just the final confirmation that you don't respect me and never actually will." She tried every manipulation tactic over the following weeks. Crying hysterically, explosive anger, threatening to absolutely destroy me in court, claiming she'd tell everyone I was having a mental breakdown. Then, when none of that worked, she tried seduction, showing up in lingerie like the past 14 months of zero intimacy hadn't happened. I slept on the couch for 3 months while the divorce processed. She made every step as difficult as humanly possible, contesting everything, dragging out proceedings, demanding valuations and appraisals for items that were clearly worthless. In the end, after all the fighting, I walked away with 38% of our shared assets, which came out to approximately $89,000 after selling the house and splitting everything. She kept acting like she'd won because she got the larger share. Let her believe that. I took my money, rented a small 1-bedroom apartment, and officially launched my consulting business 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Update 1. 8 months later. Thanks for all the support on my original post. A lot of people asked for updates on how things developed, so here's where everything stands. The business is doing genuinely well. Not yacht money or retire at 40. Well, but I cleared 180 Qley in revenue my first 8 months of operation. After all legitimate expenses, software subscriptions, contractor payments, insurance, accounting, I netted about $95 Qley. That's more than I was making at my corporate job, working for myself on my own terms. I'm on realistic track to nearly double that next year as I bring on more clients and build recurring revenue streams. Turns out when you actually know what you're doing and have genuine expertise people need, clients pay real money for it. Who knew? Certainly not my ex-wife. Speaking of her, she has not handled this transition gracefully. About 4 months after our divorce finalized, she started reaching out. First through mutual friends, casual inquiries about how I was doing, whether I was okay, if I was seeing anyone. Then directly via text message. "Hey, saw your business announcement on LinkedIn. Congrats on taking the leap. We should grab coffee sometime and catch up." I didn't respond. A month later, another text. "I know things ended badly between us, but I've had a lot of time to reflect on everything. I wasn't supportive enough of your dreams. I'm genuinely sorry about that." Still nothing from me. Then the mutual friend started reporting back what she was saying. She'd apparently been telling everyone she always believed in him and was so proud of what he's accomplishing. Complete revisionist history from the woman who called me a worker bee. Her sister, who I'd always gotten along with reasonably well, reached out to me directly. She'd been the one family member who occasionally admitted her sister could be difficult and high maintenance. "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but she's been struggling pretty hard since you left. Her company did layoffs in March, and she had to take a significant pay cut just to keep her position. I think she's finally starting to realize you weren't actually the problem in that marriage. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. No secret pleasure. Just emptiness where anger used to be. Then came what I call the entitlement phase. Her mother called me one Saturday morning around 9 a.m. I hadn't spoken to this woman in the 5 months since the divorce finalized. I think you and my daughter really need to talk. This whole divorce was a terrible mistake. You two were good together when things were working. Ma'am, with all respect, your daughter told me I'd be nothing without her. Those were her exact words to my face. She was frustrated. All marriages have rough patches. You don't just give up on 12 years. I tried couples therapy. She literally laughed at me. Well, she's willing to try therapy now. Isn't that what should matter going forward? What matters is that she only wants to try now that I'm successful on my own and she's struggling at work. That tells me everything I need to know about what she actually valued in our marriage. She hung up on me without another word. The following week, my ex texted again. We need to talk about some financial stuff left over from the divorce. Can you call me? Against my better judgment, I called her. There was no financial stuff to discuss. I've been thinking about us constantly, about what went wrong. I want you to know that I've grown so much as a person since we split. Is there actual business to discuss here? Business? That's seriously all you care about now? You've changed so much. You made it abundantly clear the old version of me wasn't good enough. So yes, I changed. I miss you. I miss the way things used to be between us. Things used to be, you telling me I was a worker bee with unrealistic dreams. I don't miss that even slightly. I was wrong, okay? I'm admitting it openly. Isn't that enough? It's enough for you to feel better about yourself. It doesn't undo 12 years of being made to feel small and inadequate in my own marriage. She cried on the phone, said I'd become cold and obsessed with success. That the man she married would have been more forgiving and understanding. The man you married spent 12 years believing he wasn't good enough because his wife told him so constantly. That man doesn't exist anymore. You killed him. I hung up and blocked her number that same night. Her friends started reaching out after that. The same friends who'd been firmly on her side during the entire divorce. Suddenly they all wanted to mediate and help us find our way back to each other. I politely declined every single one of them. Update 2, 18 months after divorce. Okay, so this is where things get genuinely interesting and admittedly a little surreal. About a month ago, I got contacted by a journalist from Forbes. Let me be very clear here, not for their main print magazine or a cover story. This was for their online small business and entrepreneurship section. They were doing a feature on tech consultants who successfully transitioned from corporate careers to independent businesses during the post-pandemic economy. My company had grown to $420,000 in annual revenue. I'd hired 2 part-time contractors to handle overflow work. Several of my clients were mid-sized companies making real moves in their respective industries. Apparently, one of my larger clients had mentioned my work to someone who knew someone at Forbes doing research for this article. The interview lasted about an hour via video call. I talked about leaving corporate work after years of feeling underutilized, starting completely from scratch at 38, building client relationships through quality and reliability. The journalist asked about my motivation for finally making the leap, and I gave the sanitized version. I realized I wasn't living up to my potential in my previous situation and needed to make a fundamental change. The article published 2 weeks ago, From Corporate Burnout to Consulting Success, How One IT Professional Built a Thriving Business from the Ground Up. It wasn't a cover story, it wasn't even front page material, but it was Forbes, their website, their brand, their platform. And it was genuinely surreal seeing my name and my company featured alongside an actual interview with professional photos. Within 2 days of publication, I had 3 new client inquiries directly referencing the article. My LinkedIn exploded with connection requests and messages. Old colleagues from companies I'd worked at years ago reached out to congratulate me. Then, yesterday morning, I was going through my business email catching up on correspondence when I noticed something flagged in my spam folder. An email from my ex-wife, sent to my business address, which is publicly listed on my company website. Subject: interview request, journalist inquiry. The email claims she was writing a piece about relationship dynamics and career success for a publication she conveniently didn't name. She wanted to interview me about how my personal journey had affected my business growth and professional development. She was literally pretending to be a journalist to get me to respond to her. I screenshot the entire email and sent it to my actual attorney, just in case I needed documentation later. Then I left it in spam exactly where it belonged. That same day, her sister texted me. She saw the Forbes article. She's really not handling it well. I'm genuinely worried about her mental state. I didn't respond. Not my problem anymore. Her mother called, blocked number, so it went through to my phone. You need to talk to her. She's been crying for days since that article came out. You're being deliberately cruel. I'm not being anything. I'm living my life. She's welcome to live hers. She made one mistake. You're really going to punish her forever over one comment? It wasn't one mistake. It was 12 years of being told I wasn't good enough. I'm not punishing her. I'm just not interested in rewarding her for recognizing I have value only after a magazine confirmed it. She called me heartless, said I'd changed into someone completely unrecognizable, said the success had gone to my head and made me arrogant. Here's the thing. My success didn't go to my head. It just gave me clarity I'd been missing for over a decade. For 12 years, I genuinely believed I was the weak link in my marriage, that I was lucky to have someone out of my league who tolerated my mediocrity and supported our lifestyle. Now I know that wasn't even close to true. Not because Forbes said so, but because I proved to myself that I was capable of far more than she ever let me believe I could achieve. The final piece came yesterday afternoon. A mutual friend reached out, one of the few who'd stayed genuinely neutral during the entire divorce. I have to tell you something, because it's getting weird. Your ex has been telling people you two are working things out, that the Forbes article was actually your way of proving yourself to her, and that you're planning to reconcile soon. She was constructing an entire fictional narrative where she was still somehow part of my success story. I drafted a simple LinkedIn post that evening, grateful for the recent Forbes feature and all the new opportunities it's brought. Building this company has been a journey of self-discovery, independence, and learning to trust my own vision, especially when others doubted it loudly. Here's to everyone who's ever been told they're not entrepreneur material. Prove them wrong. Everyone who knew our history understood exactly what I was saying without naming anyone. Her mother emailed me the very next morning. Yes, emailed my business address. That LinkedIn post was petty and completely unnecessary. You're publicly humiliating my daughter. I didn't respond. Some people don't deserve responses. 2 days ago, I got another email flagged in spam. Different email address this time, but same distinctive writing style. My ex again, unable to stop herself. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I was completely wrong about you, but please, can we just talk once? I need you to understand that I'm proud of you, that I always saw your potential, even if I expressed it badly. Always saw my potential. The woman who called me a worker bee, who said I'd crash and burn in 6 months, who laughed in my face when I suggested therapy to save our marriage. The rewriting of history is genuinely impressive in its audacity. She's apparently convinced herself that she was actually a supportive wife whose only flaw was not expressing things well. I'm not angry anymore. I was for a while. During the divorce, when she contested everything, during those first hard months of starting from nothing. But now, I just feel free. The business is thriving beyond my initial projections. I'm dating casually, nothing serious yet, just enjoying meeting people who see me for who I actually am now, not who I was trained to believe I was. My ex, according to her sister's last message before I stopped responding to her too, is now in therapy, working through her issues. She took another pay cut at work last quarter. She's living in a smaller apartment since she couldn't afford the house payments alone after the sale. She's not destitute. She's not ruined. She's just ordinary. Living an ordinary life that she once thought was beneath her when she had me subsidizing her sense of superiority. The Forbes article sits framed in my home office now. Not because I need external validation to feel worthwhile, but as a daily reminder that the only person whose belief in you truly matters is yourself. Her fake interview request is still sitting in my spam folder. I think I'll leave it there permanently. Some emails don't deserve responses. Some chapters just need to end. Thanks for following this journey, Reddit. Time to write the next one.